Antigua and Barbuda is honored to be hosting SIDS4, and we took the charge of hosting SIDS4 in a serious manner, tackling the issue of climate change, access to finance, debt sustainability, and the overall social development of smaller and developing states. And so those are the big ticket items on the agenda, and they're more in details in the outcome document that was recently concluded at the preparatory meeting for SIDS4.
Why is this important that this meeting is being held in the Caribbean?
Yeah, I think more than anything, the Caribbean has been feeling the effects of climate change, of the fallout from economic crisis, but also because of our close connection with the North. Whenever there are spillovers from global unrest, then the Caribbean feels it even more aggressively than perhaps some of the region. That being said, that the Caribbean is always a champion for the other regions also. And so we're taking this opportunity to not only put the voice of the Caribbean on the map, but also to ensure that the other SIDS regions are able to amplify their voice during SIDS4.
What is it specifically St. John's is hoping to come out of this conference? What would make you feel as if you've really achieved something?
Yeah, it has to be a firm commitment from the international community to really address the needs of SIDS. We have long said during our 2 to 3 year preparatory process of this conference that this is perhaps the last chance to save SIDS. We recognize that climate change is spiraling out of control. We recognize that the effects of climate change are even more intense. We also recognize that the economic fallout and the high debt burden of SIDS are now unsustainable. SIDS are on a cliff. And then finally, the effects from the pandemic is clear, that there needs to be specialized attention to SIDS. And so we're hoping out of this conference that we have a firm commitment from the international community to fully address the needs of SIDS. And these commitments are detailed in the outcome document.
You speak about commitments, the developing world, SIDS included. We've had a lot of commitments from this, that, and the other conference. But what do you think that this conference can do? What would make it different in terms of holding the developed world accountable and getting them to really honor these commitments?
So during the last 3 to 2 years of us preparing for this conference, we have been strategic in knocking on doors, to forming alliances, and ensuring that once international partners have decided on commitments, that we're able to hold them accountable. And so we have big players on board now, fully on board, in ensuring that they would not only allow to continue to champion for SIDS, but they will hold their counterparts accountable for the implementation and the commitments within this 10-year framework. Again, there's a recognition globally that SIDS are the most vulnerable countries, and that recognition concludes that if you save SIDS, you save the world. And so I think there's a firm commitment coming forward from partners now in ensuring that they live up to their commitments to SIDS.
Why should the world take this seriously? Why should people think, including our own Caribbean people, think that this is a conference that would make a difference?
I'll give you this, this example. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the height of the pandemic, AOSIS diplomats got together virtually because we could not meet at the UN system. And we were all detailing the stresses on our countries and the fact that it was a great fear from our leaders that most of our countries were on the brink of collapse due to the closures of borders, to the hoarding of medical equipments, to the inability to sustain our populations. And we made approaches to the World Bank. We made approaches to the higher levels within the UN system, the Secretary General, and we also knocked on doors of developed partners. There was a study conducted by UNCTAD during the height of the pandemic that indicated very clearly that more than any other group of countries in the international community, SIDS were mostly affected by the pandemic, both in terms of access to finance and our debt portfolios. That being said, there was a concerted effort made by all stakeholders to come on board and assist SIDS. We believe that this trend of engagement continues up until now for the fourth conference, and so we're fully confident that this conference will produce tangible results for SIDS. We framed this conference by saying, not only is this the last chance to assist SIDS, but also after the end of this 10-year framework, we don't want to see another SIDS conference trying to save SIDS. We want to see a SIDS conference that would allow for a sustained development of SIDS. And so we don't want to address past issues. We are confident that within the contents of the outcome document and its implementation will be able to achieve some level of sustainability. Going forward, what we need is to just continue to assist us in our sustainability efforts.